What up? It's the real Keith. Any other a fabrication of your imagination. And Universal Debates presents Real Random Versus Scaling. Here we scale characters and verses that most people don't talk about or just aren't that known. And today we will be scaling one of my favorite verses, Majo Taisen, War of the Greedy Witches. This is a manga created by Homura Kawamata, the same creator for Kakaguri and High Card. I would recommend you go read the manga. It is a tournament fighting style Record of Ragnarok-esque manga, but instead of being based on the gods and men in history, it's all women. And the verse is more based around their hex, which is magic that is empowered by their desires. And with this, it creates a wardrobe called a magical vestment, and they cannot be harmed by human weapons, anything other than another witch's desire. Everyone will have their own opinion where things scale, so this is just from what I have researched and got of my own. Let's start with their attack potency and their destructive capacity. They are decently strong to be taking place in an arena. Tomoe was able to lift this big naginata and this huge bow using the naginata as an arrow. It easily blew a hole through Elizabeth Bathory's arm, leaving a giant trail through the ground and a massive crater into the wall. The arena is a lot bigger than it seems too. Tomoe was shooting from the middle of the arena, and this was considered a good distance. The naginata was pretty big and almost as big as Tomoe, so let's assume that it is 90% metal, which will make it 113 kilograms, and she shot from a distance of 50 yards. This will make the impact energy 1.88 megajoules, which is small building, and requires speeds of 182 meters a second. Right after this, Elizabeth used her last attack, which created a big pile of stakes added on to each other. These stakes were made of iron, and it wasn't her full power because this fight has been going on for a while. But we can make two ends where one is 50% iron and 50% wood, and the other completely iron. With mixed material, the mass is 25 to 28 metric tons. With completely iron, it's 187,200 kilograms, which equals 187.2 tons. The stakes seem more like they're iron. Tomoe picked up one and shot it at Elizabeth, and it was made of iron. Their attacks had a head-on collision, and we can assume that both attacks were moving at the same speed, at the least, but more than likely Elizabeth is moving slower than Tomoe since she was unable to react to her earlier attack. But we can have three ends for the speed, because at the end of the day, Tomoe's attack still destroyed Elizabeth's attack. So for the low end at 50 meters a second, the kinetic energy would be 234 megajoules. For 100 meters a second, 936 megajoules. 150 meters a second, 2.1 gigajoules, which will make the mid and the low end small building and the high end building level, which the high end sounds more appropriate to me for Tomoe. For the next feat, Catherine was able to break this scythe in half with a punch and push Marie back a huge distance. The amount of energy needed to do this is 14,490 newtons, which equal 1,449 joules, or WoW level plus. Then we have another feat of Marie Antoinette being able to lift up this giant hammer, and Catherine being able to break this hammer. The energy required to do this would be 100 to 500 million newtons, or 50 billion joules, which equal 11 tons, or large building a city block. This feat could be even higher if the hammer was made of graphite, and it would be 260 giganewtons, or 6.2 kilotons, which is small town level. But that number sounds outrageous, so we'll just go with hardened steel, which was the first number. Then we have another feat from Catherine. At this point, she's just the top of the verse. But Marie created a giant castle, and Catherine was able to crush this castle with her hands by violently fragmenting it with a punch. This castle was based off the castle that Marie Antoinette was really imprisoned in, called the Square Du Temple. The energy needed to do this is 69.1 gigajoules, or 16.5 tons, which equal city block. Marie received an attack right after that, but we can tell that Catherine did not put all her strength into it. Now for the next feat, we have Orihime, who created a meteor out of her metal alloy star material type of things. I don't know what to call it. We're just gonna say it's made out of alloy. And she dropped it directly in the center of the arena on top of Yayoi. And there's a low end, mid end, and high end depending on the height that it was dropped from. From 20 meters, it was 115.6 megajoules. For 25 meters, 143.6 megajoules. And from 30 meters, 173.8 megajoules, which all equals large building. Yayoi was able to melt a hole right through it, and she barely looked like she received any damage from it. The calc for her melting through the meteor is 74 gigajoules, which equals to 17 ton or city block, and 506 gigajoules if she vaporized it, which equals to 121 ton or multi-city block. Either one of these are perfectly fine because they said that they can feel Yayoi's fire throughout the whole arena, but I would still go with city block in my opinion. And the only damage Yayoi was taking was from Orihime's gravity infused punches. There's the feat from Wu Zaitan that she was able to engulf the whole arena in her wind, and she clashed with Joan of Arc, which they stated they could feel the breeze and the heat from their clash, and it covered the whole arena. I don't have a calc for both of them clashing, but there is a calc for Wu's tornado. Depending on which category it is, it could be an EF3, which is 1.36 gigajoules, making it 0.33 tons, or an EF5, making it 2.7 gigajoules or 0.66 tons, which both equal to building. Now let's move on to their speed. The verse is mainly bullet timers. Marie Curry had 2 pistols, and Wang was able to block it from point blank range. For her to be able to block it, she would have to be moving at subsonic speed. And these are some of the weaker witches that are able to block or react to gunfire. Mona Lisa was able to react to a revolver shot from Bunny. The speed needed for her to do this is also subsonic. We have Marie Antoinette deflecting a bullet from Catherine, who seems to be using a blunderbuss. For Marie to react, she would have to be moving at 151 meters a second, which is still subsonic. There's only a few people that were remarked as fast, with John being one of them, but Wu was able to speed blitz her, with John barely being able to react, and with her magic, Wu is able to go faster. This will make John and Wu at least subsonic plus, but I have reason to believe that they are supersonic, and I will explain later. Lakshmi Bai was using a rifle that she verbatim says is faster than sound, and Sasaki Rui was able to cut the bullet in half. She carries 2 swords, and she did this with her wakizashi. She did this with her wakizashi blade, which was on her side that she had to unsheath. The speed she had to move to cut the bullet was at least 1500 meters a second, or Mach 4.4. But this isn't even her top speed. Another time, she was looking another way. Sword she turned around, dodged the bullet, and closed the distance on Lakshmi. This is impossible for someone to really do because you have to hear the sound of a bullet, and bullets move faster than sound. This means that Sasaki was moving at least 6,000 meters a second, or hypersonic plus, and probably even faster than this, since she verbatim also says that her sword moves at the speed of thunder. I'm pretty sure that's a translation error because in kanji that also is lightning. It also wouldn't make sense for her to move at the speed of thunder if thunder is also the speed of sound. But now here's the hardest part. Who scales to what? Here I compiled a list of where I think each character would go. You do not have to agree, but I will explain my reasoning. For the unknown, Himiko and Cleopatra mainly were hex-based abilities and didn't do anything damage-wise, but they are ranked in the top 5 witches, with Cleopatra being number 1. Matahari is self-explanatory. We don't even know what happened during her fight. The other 2 didn't fight at all. Elizabeth lost an arm and died to 2 small building level feats. But I will admit, in the Versus Battle Wiki, they do have the feat considered as city block plus, but it really wouldn't change anything because Elizabeth was not able to tank it. For small building, we have Mona, Anna, and Elizabeth who all have been shown to be probably the weakest of the witches. For building, we have the mid tiers. Mary was shown to pretty much be one of the strongest witches physically. She just had the worst matchup possible. Bunny isn't one of the weakest witches. She just relies on her guns and hacks a lot. She also has enough dynamite to blow up a building. Marie and Huang have building level feats just based off of Huang's mech suit. For large building, we have Marie Antoinette, and it's because her hammer itself was a large building feat. She's able to summon a large building, and she tanked large building attacks possibly higher. For the top tier, we have Tomoe. She is literally the strongest out of all the witches and was known for actually fighting in her previous life. Her magic is literally called Mighty Magic. Wu and Jun were able to keep up with each other, and Jun was kind of considered one of the strongest witches too, especially based off of her desire. She also has battle experience in her previous life and a rivalry with Tomoe. Catherine is also kind of self-explanatory. Most of the feats here are hers. Orihime and Yaoyu are also kind of self-explanatory. They have feats, and Orihime is able to change the gravity of her fist at any time. And Yam also have battle experience in her previous life. For the speed, this one was a little more complicated, but we have some subsonic to subsonic plus feet, and the reason that some people are supersonic is because of this statement by Lakshmi Bai, where she didn't seem too impressed that Sasaki was able to dodge the bullet, but she was more impressed at the fact that she was able to cut it in midair. So saying those with battle experience is supersonic isn't too far-fetched. So the people with battle experience and the ones that are said to be fast are also supersonic, and those that scaled to them are the ones they fought. And Sasaki is in a tier of her own because she has feats and said that her sword is as fast as lightning. Well, that's it for my Majo Taisen scaling. Like, share, and subscribe for more, and follow Universal Debates on Facebook.